Watch your dog closely the next time you wrap your arms around it for a hug. There's a good chance that, right as you squeeze, your dog will open its mouth into a big, slow yawn. And you will probably smile and think the same thing every owner thinks. Aw, sleepy boy, tired girl, what a cozy, drowsy little moment. If you're fascinated by the hidden psychology of dogs, make sure to subscribe to Dog Mind so you don't miss our next deep dive into canine behavior. But here is the strange part. Your dog almost certainly is not tired at all. That yawn in that exact moment is very likely not about sleep. It is about something else entirely, something your dog is trying to tell you. We see our dogs yawn constantly. At the vet, during training, when a stranger leans in too close, when we hold them a beat too long, and almost every time we file it under the same simple explanation. He's tired. But that explanation, it turns out, is often completely wrong. Because for a dog, a yawn is not just a yawn. It is one of the quietest, most overlooked pieces of communication in its entire language. So tonight, let's look closely at why your dog yawns when it isn't even tired and discover the hidden message that has been hiding in plain sight right in front of your face. Let's start with what scientists who study animal behavior noticed a long time ago. Yawning is what they call a displacement behavior. That is a wonderful phrase, and it describes something you have probably done yourself. A displacement behavior is a normal action that shows up at an odd, out-of-place moment, usually when
The action is not really about the desk or an itch. It is a small release valve for internal tension. For dogs, yawning is one of those release valves. When a dog feels a flicker of stress, unease, or conflict, a yawn can surface, seemingly out of nowhere. And once you know this, the timing of your dog's yawns starts to look very different. That yawn at the vet is not boredom. That yawn during a tricky training session is not tiredness. That yawn when you pull it in for a hug is not coziness. In each of those moments, your dog is feeling a small pressure, and the yawn is helping it cope. And this leads us to an idea that has quietly transformed how many people read their dogs, the idea of calming signals. Some trainers and behaviorists describe a whole vocabulary of subtle gestures that dogs use to lower tension, both their own and everyone else's. Turning the head away, licking the lips, slowing down, softening the eyes, and near the very top of that list sits the yawn. In this view, when a dog yawns in a tense moment, it may be doing something almost diplomatic, saying in the only language it has, "Let's all just calm down. I mean no trouble. Everything is okay." If you're enjoying this journey into the canine mind, subscribe to Dog Mind and join thousands of dog lovers who want to understand their companions better. Now, it is worth being honest here. The calming signals idea is enormously useful, and it has helped countless people become gentler, more perceptive dog owners. But it is more of a practical framework than a hard scientific law, and researchers still debate exactly what these signals mean to the dog.
And that makes them incredibly useful to notice, because this is where the yawn becomes more than a curiosity. It becomes a gift. If you can learn to catch that non-sleep yawn, you gain an early, gentle warning that your dog is uncomfortable, long before it needs to do anything more dramatic to be heard. Nowhere does this matter more than with children and hugging. To us, a hug is the purest expression of love. But most dogs do not naturally enjoy being wrapped up and held tight. It can feel restrictive, even a little threatening. And so very often, when a child throws their arms around the family dog will yawn, lick its lips, and turn its head away. Those are not signs of a sleepy, contented pet. They are polite, patient requests for a little space. A dog saying, as softly as it possibly can, "This is a bit much for me." Learning to see that yawn and to gently give the dog room is one of the simplest and most powerful things any family can do to keep everyone safe and happy. So the humble yawn, the one we always dismissed as sleepiness, turns out to be a whole quiet conversation. But there is one more layer to the story, and it is the strangest and most wonderful part of all. Because your dog may not just be yawning to manage its own feelings. Your dog may sometimes be yawning because of you. You already know that yawns are contagious between people. You see someone yawn or even read the word, and suddenly you feel the pull yourself. They sat dogs in front of a person who yawned right at them over and over, and the result was startling. Around 72% of the dogs yawned back, nearly 3 out of 4. It was one of the first times contagious yawning had ever been shown to jump between 2 different species, and it raised a breathtaking possibility. If catching a yawn is tied to empathy, then maybe, just maybe, a dog catching your yawn was a tiny window into a dog feeling with you, reaching across the gap between species, not with its nose or its ears, but with something closer to fellow feeling. Before we reveal what later research discovered, don't forget to subscribe to DogMind if you love learning the science behind your dog's behavior. It is a beautiful idea, and this is exactly the kind of moment where a good documentary has to slow down and be honest with you, because that first study lit a spark, but the science that followed did not simply confirm it. Some later studies found the same effect, and even reported that dogs yawned more in response to their beloved owners than to strangers, which would fit the empathy story perfectly. But other studies tried to reproduce the original result and could not, and more recent careful research has pushed back harder, suggesting that contagious yawning may not be a reliable sign of empathy at all. Some scientists propose a quieter, less romantic explanation, that when a person stares at a dog and yawns repeatedly, the dog yawns back not out of shared feeling, but out of a mild flicker of stress at all that intense attention. So which is it? Empathy, or just a little stress? And the honest answer, right now, is that we do not know. The contagious yawn between you and your dog is real enough to have been seen again and again, and mysterious enough that the world's animal behavior researchers still cannot agree on what it means. And there is something rather lovely about that. In a world that likes tidy answers, your dog is holding on to one small, genuine secret. But notice what has not changed, no matter which explanation eventually wins. Whether your dog yawns to soothe its own nerves during a hug, or to quietly ask a child for space, or to answer some pull it feels when you yawn across the room, every one of those yawns is your dog communicating, reaching outward, managing a moment, participating in its own subtle way in the emotional life you share. So the next time your dog opens its mouth into that big, slow yawn, pause before you call it sleepy. Look at the moment around it. What just happened? Who leaned in? What were you doing? Because that yawn may be one of the most honest things your dog says all day. It might be asking for space. It might be trying to keep the peace. Or it might, in a way we still cannot fully explain, be answering something in you. And now that you know how to look, you will never see your dog yawn quite the same way again. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep discovering what your dog is really trying to tell you, subscribe to DogMind, and we'll see you in the next one.